Hey everybody, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened, but I lost connection. I am so sorry. If I hope that you make your way over to this new connection here and can catch up with me. I was going over on the other video that I had started for Quilt and Coffee Live. That I hope you've had a good week. And if you haven't, we've got a new week coming up. And then I had already started talking about some things that I had left off in last week's Quilts and Coffee Live. And I'd like to just thank you for spending time here today, whether you're watching it now or you're watching it later. And just, I hope this is an opportunity to spark some creativity so that you are inspired to do something and make something for others. And that is what I do, is make things for others. And there's a lot of joy in doing something like that. And last week I was talking about the Vegas strips. They're 6.5-inch strips that are from Soye Quilting, and I had started sewing some things up, and things were not working with what I had in mind. And so I'm still working on something that will be quick and fast, but look nice. And so once I get those done, I'll start posting some more videos. This week has been a little different week for me. I have not been feeling as well as I usually have. So if you haven't been seeing as many posts, that's the reason why. But I have some things that I'm working on, and I'm going to try to have some videos ready, sometime the first of the week. So one of the things that I had gave on the preview in the community tab was a quilt that I had started years ago. And what I had done is I had started sewing this when I was very young and doing quilting, and I did not pay attention to my seam allowances. And with me not paying attention to that, I ended up really not doing the best job. And I actually cut fabric wrong, and I did several things. And then I ended up adding fabric later on that would coordinate with it. So this past week, I have finished this project that went strangely wrong throughout the years, and it has turned out as I anticipated. So what it was a fence rail block quilt that I had planned, and it was this. I can't really show it real well right here, but trying to show you the colors real close. And what had happened was I made my seam allowances too. So this is like the comeback quilt. How do you come back from when you made a mistake? So what I did was I measured all of the blocks that I'd already cut. They were random sizes, anywhere from 7 inches up to 8.5 inches. And so I finally go, okay, 7 inches is my smallest dimension, so I'll have to square everything up to 7 inches. And so I had a few pieces that hadn't been sewn, and I had lots of pieces that had, and made sure that I, trimmed up the blocks to 7 inches square. And I ended up not having enough fabric in just single pieces to finish up the size quilt that I wanted. But I ended up, I'm trying to find an example of this. I ended up piecing some things so that I could get the look that I'm looking for. So there's a seam right there. And I thought, okay, when this is quilted, you're not really going to see it. Now, I do have one that the seam is not really that great. I'm probably going to pick it out and redo it. But really, it's not going to matter. I mean, it matters, but some things are just not that crucial. And so I am going to stand up and show you this quilt that I ended up fixing this week. And you're really not going to be able to see from there any little wax that I did with the fabric, any places that I had to actually piece it together. And this is exactly the vision I had whenever I got this fabric. I wanted to be sure and do a very striking fence rail that goes in the Fields and Farrells layout. And that is exactly what I got. So there it is on the close up on the colors. It's a fuchsia pink and then silver, black, and grays. So I had gotten all of those pieces all back to one size and pieced what I didn't have. And that's how I came back from this mistake that I had made on the quilt. And if you're just tuning in, I'm sorry I lost connection and I've had to start another live. And I'm working on patterns for the Vegas strips, and I'll be posting something later. The ideas that I had in mind are not really turning out to where it's a fast and nice looking quilt. So I'm working on a few things. And so I had worked on the project that I needed to recover from and found out what size was the smallest size of all my blocks and cut everything to that and pieced where I needed to. And so I also had on the community tab that I was going to review a quilt. So this is a quilt that I have had made for probably 7 years. I've been quilting for about 8 years. And so this is a very simple pattern. This is going to fall into the start sewing 2 strips together of lighter and darker value. If you've watched that video, you know, it's kind of like where do you start when you don't have a starting point? Well, this quilt would fit into that category. And it's very simple to do. You'll need 40 strips, and it can be different values. It could be something very mixed, or it could be kind of monochromatic like this one is. And so, but just take lighter and darker values and sew the strips together. And then you have 5-inch blocks that you put those strips on. So let me pull this up out of my little basket of goodies. I keep a little basket of goodies here so that I know what I need to go over with you today. And so let me find the block and show it to you. Okay, it's like here's the 5-inch square, and you're going to border it with a set of strips that's 5 inches wide, and then you're going to take another set of strips that goes right here, and it's going to make the block. So I had actually learned this from Missouri Star Quilt Company. I think it's called the 2-step is what they called it. So I'm going to stand up and show you the whole quilt. And this is also another example of you don't always have to use white. You can use a color for your background, and it makes a difference. It changes the feel of the quilt. So let me stand back and show you this. This is a very easy quilt pattern. It goes together pretty quickly. And so let me show you this. And you can lay it out several different ways. I just like this way where it's all of the solid blocks are going diagonally. And actually, when I look at it out there on the screen, you know, it's like I made 2 fence rail quilts, but I really didn't. And on the Missouri Star Quilt Company video, they have theirs laid out differently. So it is strictly up to you. And that's the beauty of some of these patterns, is that you can take their pattern and you can lay it out differently and have a different look. You can change it with colors. On the Missouri Star Quilt Company, they use a a light colored background, and then they have strips that are all different colors that they've sewn together. And so, and when you go and look at that, it's going to look totally different than this one. So, you know, sometimes you think, okay, I have the same thing going on all the time. Maybe it's colors you need to change, and you can make it have a different feel. It's just like the round the block quilt. If you've seen that, or if not, I have a video up. The initial one that I made was the ombre. And then I came back and made it in mixed up strips, and they look totally different. So sometimes it's, you know, just to be different, just to have something, you know, going, is different colors or different block placements. And so I had also posted on the community tab about making some Scrappy Blocks. I had bought a lot of scrap bags, just trying to figure out, you know, who has the best scrap bags. And, you know, I had lost a lot of my quilting stuff in the last move that I had. And I kind of wanted a little bit of scraps to do some scrappy things. And so I had bought some scrap bags, and I'm going like, okay, I bought it, I need to use it. And so I had started laying out some quilt blocks, and this is like something you can do on the side, you know, right when you're working on a project. Say you're getting a little frustrated with your project. Have a little basket like this, or just a little place on your work area that you have a few little scraps that are, you know, ready to go. Let me get something out here. Like I've got this, you know, I can cut that up in 2.5-inch squares that are cut together, kind of get it kind of started. And then, you know, when you kind of get in a block, a brain block, a moment that you're not as creative, then piece some of these pieces together. So I'm going to do a more detailed video on this later, because there's like 6 different blocks that I have started working on, but only one of them I've actually done any sewing. This is extremely scrappy, and it's probably going to need some sashing in it to calm it down a little bit. But this is one of the blocks that I have been working on to use my scraps. And this is just 2.5-inch squares on the side. And then this is a block and a block here with a 2.5-inch square in the middle. And then just keep going around with the 2.5-inch. So this is all can be done from jelly roll 2.5-inch strips or scraps that you have. I kind of got the inspiration from the block and a block quilt triple play that Missouri Star Quilt Company did. And I thought, okay, this is another example of something that happens with this. Okay, I have this little Eiffel Tower fabric here, and I had a little bit of that in one of the scrap bags. Well, I really don't use that. But the key is, if you cut it small enough, it's not really going to show up, and it's going to, you know, if I put some black sashing on this and some cornerstones, then that's going to kind of all blend together. And this is the concept that quilting used to be years ago. Use what you have, and it could be old fabric or shirts or, you know, something else. I mean, they used flour sacks for clothes. And, you know, we're very fortunate in this day and time to have specified quilt fabric to make things from. But, you know, sometimes we can, you know, use up our scraps. That is a really wild color combination. I get that. But this was to test, and I wasn't really that, you know, that been out of shape if it was really out there. So, and I have some other blocks that are all going to be the same size, that you can either make a 1-block wonder quilt, or you can make a scrappy with different kinds of blocks and rearrange them and make different patterns with the way that you arrange it. So I'm still working on that. And If you're leaving any comments, I'm not seeing anything come up. I'm sorry, I'm not ignoring you. I'm having a little trouble with my setup this morning, and I'm very sorry about that. Our weather is not really great, and so my internet's probably not that great this morning. And let me see. So I'm trying to look and see what else I've got laying around here. I hope everybody's had a good week. I hope that you have a great week coming up. I thank you for liking, subscribing, and commenting. This has just been more than what I anticipated, and I just want everybody to have get some new momentum and be creative. And so, and I've got something else in the wings that I'm trying to work. Sometimes I I hope I'm not the only one, but I have lots of quilting projects started, but sometimes I don't have the momentum to finish that. And I get a new idea and I start to kind of get into that. And then I left something behind. And I have several of those, but I have some fabric that I've had for a long time that's very pretty that I would like to make up. Let me go ahead and show you the label. And I've also had some gray squares that go with it. I'm sorry, it's all going downhill. That go with it very well, that I've had set aside for years. And, there's going to be something coming up with that soon. And I'm just waiting for some new ideas for that. So, unless y'all have anything, that covers everything that I had. And like I said, if you're sending me messages, I'm not able to see it. I'm having a technical difficulty today. But I do appreciate you spending time with me today. I know that there's other channels you could watch. I know there's other things you could be doing. And I hope that this has sparked some creativity for you. And I hope you have a great week. And I will catch you next week at 9 a.m. for Quilts and Coffee. Thank you. Bye-bye.